headset.
Mm.
Yeah, I've got that awkward,
Mm.
really, really loud
Yeah.
Microsoft
Oh,
microphone.
there you go.
Yeah.
You're fine now.
I've
You're
got a
both
Yeti
fine.
mic, so I need to like reach over to mute it.
What is a Yeti mic?
What the hell is
It's
yeah?
a professional recording mic.
Oh.
Oh.
I was gonna say, is that like Star Wars where you like gutted the fucking Yeti? Or just recording from inside a carcass?
Oh, you know me.
If I was doing that on I guess like a more quote unquote professional level, I'd probably do that too. But
Well,
all
see,
I've got is my
I thought I was going to go into voice acting for a while, so I just sort of have this mic now.
Were you gonna have voice act for visual novels?
I don't know what for, just in general. I was just like, got really excited about it for a while, and
Oh, that-
I fell off.
Hopefully this is streaming.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, it's going.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
watching
streaming.
right now up there.
Well, it's screwing up for me. Alright, well, welcome to the podcast. This is episode 5. I'm your host, ShillPhish. I'm with spellsfire.com. And today we're going to be talking about Gamergate's coverage in the media. And not just, the typical video game media. We're talking about CNN, MSNBC.
The news you
pretty
care
much.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The actual news that people give a shit about. The news that people, quote-unquote, respect.
Presumably.
Right.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
With me I have Bird Gang from goodgamers.us.
Yep. I'm just. I had needed a nest.
Yeah, he's a bird. I have with me Words from, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm from Red Ink, VNs. I'm a student, writer, hopeful game designer.
Okay. I have my personal cameraman / video editor, I have Scanner Bro, another staff of Spellsfire.
Hello, everybody. I'm from the internet. Welcome.
Yep, the mysterious land of the internet.
I'm from the internet.
I come from the internet.
Exactly. And special guest joining us very last minute. I saw Christina Summers tweet this video, and I gave it a view, and I was really taken aback by it because I thought it was really spoken from the heart, or at least I hope it was. I have the General or Mike joining us.
Okay, yep. Definitely here today. Definitely honored to be invited here. It was definitely last minute, and I was surprised when I came back and saw I was like retweeted everywhere.
But that's what Base Mom will do. Base Mom, she catches wind of something you did, and she likes it. She will promote you. And she promoted you. I saw your video. I'm like, damn, I gotta get this guy on here. So I reached out to you. I brought you on. So today we're going to be talking about the media, the actual main media's coverage of Gamergate. If it's flawed, if we think they're kind of giving us a fair shake, or what. So let's start with you, Bird. Is the media doing a good job? Are they corrupt? What the hell's going on?
I'm just I'm conflicted, to be honest, because I really felt like this was going to be something that didn't happen. I did not think that there was going to be such, I guess, a widely accepted, okay, this must be the truth from the mass media. I didn't just, I have a bit of a naive outlook on a lot of things, and I guess this was something I had a naive outlook on. Their acceptance and poor efforts in terms of investigating things and making sure they check all their facts was just reinforced. And it's like, if they're not going to bother with something as minuscule as this, then, they obviously don't give a shit about us, and I think it's a lost cause trying to bother with mainstream media to some degree.
I think we shouldn't even bother. We should be like, fuck it. The media is going to horribly misrepresent us. Why even bother trying to tackle them?
It's kind of the attitude I have in general. I think I'll try and make it so that this doesn't have to be repeated, but I think for a lot of us, a lot of people involved in Gamergate, that was probably one of the most demoralizing things to happen in a long time. I know we get a lot of ego boost from the shit like, the Intel pulling their ads, Sears directly responding to our complaints of various outlets like Kotaku not upholding to what they should be, and stuff like that, but I think it's just a good example of how the tiniest thing can still really take the wind out of our sails. So, I mean, that's how it's been for me. I've kind of been, stupidly enough, wallowing in a mild fit of depression since Monday. First it was rage, and then it was depression.
You're going through the cycles.
I am a little
It's
bit,
like the cycles of death or something.
pretty
Well,
much.
what about you, Words? I know you're a very
Um,
scholarly gentleman.
oh, thank you. No,
Well, you know.
I'm. I guess just in terms of how I feel about this whole mess, it just is. It is very demoralizing, but it's. I kind of take this in stride with the portrayal of games and gamers in the media in general. It's just kind of like the same dance, different tune right now. So I'm just kind of taking it a step at a time. It sounds like a like a help group, but
It is.
no.
This is
It's-
Gamergators Anonymous.
Yeah, it is.
Now,
It is
tell
kind
me,
of-
how does that make you feel?
Well,
Words.
How
it
did,
rem-
how did it make you?
it reminds me of when my dog died.
Oh,
Did your
No.
dog die?
uh,
If you don't want to disclose that, I mean,
that's not a. That's I don't want to get into that. But no, it's just the media coverage does make me kind of sad, and I'm not entirely surprised by it. All it really took was just the right person with the right kind of knowledge of how to run in those type of circles to escalate this, and
a professional victim, if you will.
yeah, and whether that's Brianna Wu or somebody else, I don't know. But it got to the right person, and the right person made the right phone call, and it escalated. And a lot of these journals and newspapers are used to writing with a particular slant, even though they strive for objectivity most of the time. They are picking up on a story that's been going on for a while, and they got it from people that they have no reason to distrust. And it's just kind of unfortunate because we're just kind of like sitting here with the putty in our laps, so to speak.
Well, I mean, we're the voiceless masses that the media is supposed to represent. That's interesting.
Yeah.
What about?
Oh, no,
or-
sorry.
Did you have something else to add?
Yeah, I would just like to signal boost with Master Ninjas there. I've seen a few people myself coming into this being like, what is this all about? And then they just kind of like, they read into it more and they're actually kind of supportive of this effort,
Hey, if we're getting new people because of it, I mean, that's good, right?
I guess.
Jeez, you guys are defeatists. All right.
I'm not a defeatist. I honestly think that it's entertainment. That's all it really is. It's on the same level of games, entertainment news, and I think it's a good thing. The people who are saying negative things, I think, are a vocal minority, and there are more people joining. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, And part two, why are you dwelling on what was so awful with the first part of? If you're implying the HuffPo piece as being the big part of this discussion, I think part two was much better, a cleaner format, and it just much more responsibly handled, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, definitely.
What do you think, Mike?
Like I said in my video this morning, I got on the news there, and I expected this right off the bat when I saw it. I was just like, of course they're gonna toe the social justice line. That's kind of typical, especially given the people who went to the media. And I just felt there was an irony to it because the entire point that we're here is because of the media corruption, and then the media continues to be corrupt. Surprise, surprise.
Do you think there's a chance that they are actually corrupt? I mean, if you have someone, if I was kind of like CNN, I'm like covering terrorism and Ebola fucking going crazy in the States, and it's like, there's some gamers pissed off, and we have a female developer who's chased out of their home. I mean, are you gonna like really sniff around that? Do you have time? I know it might be me making excuses, but do you genuinely believe that they're corrupt or lying to us as opposed to misinformed?
I think those are actually really valid points that you bring up and that I didn't consider myself initially. They're getting news that someone's being attacked. I just feel in the lines of journalism, you'll watch them quote each other, but they don't actually search for this information and the data to actually support what they're saying. They're just kind of repeating what they hear.
Yeah,
And I think be more correct.
Yeah.
You honestly couldn't be more correct.
And I think that has a lot to do with the 24-hour news cycle now than any sort of concerted effort to be.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, if I can clarify, you brought up the comment of defeatist. I think for people like me, maybe words too, I think we are feeling in this attitude, but it doesn't change our disposition towards the response. I think we're all still very much in that attitude of, well, that we just need to fight back harder. It's just that I think some of us just let it hit ourselves a little harder than we should because, Gamergate has brought out a lot of passionate, really emotional people, and some of them are just a little more expressive of that attitude. So I think that's going to be the problem that everyone's going to face, and that when you get upset over shit like that, while we are supposed to be using things like Gamergate, Not Your Shield, the hashtags that is, to get a message out, don't hesitate to use it in the ways that I've done, which is to say reach out to people and get their thoughts and comments. Don't hesitate to use it if you're feeling shitty, to reach out to people and say, hey, I'm feeling shitty, tell me something to cheer me up. I had somebody make a fucking joke towards me earlier, and I laughed at it when I was in a pretty shitty mood. So, that kind of stuff really goes a long way.
Use it to promote your website, like I do.
Yeah.
You gotta play the game, man. No, that's interesting, though. I mean, has anyone else here used Gamergate to not necessarily talk about it, but kind of be like, I'm feeling blue, and I need like a chicken soup for the teenage soul, like quote.
Teenage, very
Right.
okay.
No, I'm sorry, I've never felt that
gamer soul.
Had me at chicken.
He's like, all right, we're talking about chicken now. All right, this is what I want to talk about. No. But so when I said defeated, I was joking. I mean, but
No,
the general idea I seem to be getting from all of you is that it was kind of expected, and I don't necessarily blame you. I mean, if the video game press, which is supposed to be closer to it than traditional press, is attacking us and spewing bullshit about us, what can we expect from the actual press? So I can see why we can kind of be like, all right, well, this was expected.
Mhm.
Well, are there any particular articles or videos that you thought really stood out as good for us or bad for us, Bird?
I feel like the one that really comes to mind is I think the initial MSNBC one. The ones, people who are making the claims over there at MSNBC. I don't remember what her name is because that's how unimportant it was to me. She's making these comments. Oh, I contacted Boogie. I sent him an emails, and then she quickly backpedaled and switched it. Oh, I sent him some Facebooks. We saw another certain literally who backpedaling quickly on statements that they made about something that got later run in newspapers and on websites or news outlets and websites. And it's just these people continue to backpedal like this, and so it's annoying when I see that and they get away with it and they don't properly get called out onto it. Thankfully, I would like to give kudos to I mean, at least from my perspective, the Huffington Post people, because at least they're seemingly trying to provide an outlet for everybody to speak in. I mean, I feel that secondary live stream on Wednesday was a big representation of at least somebody trying to give two outlets a chance to speak.
As awkward as it was, it is. They are giving other outlets a chance to speak. You're totally right.
Yeah, and
But it is. It was very awkward. It was.
This is going to be a little teeny tiny bit of, I guess, people might call it idol worship, but kudos to Hate Wheels for his, BTFO at the end of that stream on Tuesday.
He's speaking the truth. That wasn't necessarily shots fired.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. It's very much just. I think it's appropriate to say a kind of statement like that because now we need to be applying it to sort of a, this shots fired thing. Or BTFO. I think it's suitable because that's how they respond to this stuff. They're like, oh, I don't believe it. Okay, so let's speak in your language. This was facts that was brought to you, and it blew you away. So,
Okay.
I mean, talk about somebody being speechless after that.
Definitely. Ricky wasn't speechless. He's like, damn.
Yeah.
Damn, son. But no, words. How do you feel about the Huffington Post, or if there's another one you wanted to highlight in case you didn't?
The Huffington Post one specifically, yeah, the first one was discouraging because it was focusing more. I just it's so obnoxious to me that it was focusing so much on the the death threat that she received.
Well,
And
that's the angle that it started from, right?
well, kind of, but it was encouraging me for me to see Eric Kane on there, and immediately he was trying to talk about like the issues and the concerns that the movement brings up, and then just he quickly moved back to the conflict between like HN and
Because
Miss Wu.
somebody wanted to continue making it about themselves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't presume to understand the inner workings of other people's minds, but I can't disagree with that.
I mean, it's frustrating because you see people like the Huffington Post guy and Eric Kane trying to bring it back to everybody has equal ground, and people just keep fighting against that. You see more anti-Gamergate people fighting for, no, we don't want a middle ground. Originally, they would say we want a middle ground, and now they've backpedaled once again.
Yeah, there was the Gamer Truce thing, and now it's just all that again.
They're more
And
middle
game
ground
ethics.
because a lot of these sites just ran articles that were just flat out spouting stuff that wasn't true. I mean, I joked about with Ralph retort about the New York Times piece. I'm like, wow, the cops haven't caught who made these death threats, but the New York Times is 100% sure of who they're affiliated with. And it's true. I mean, they're like, well, these are coming from the Gamergate crowd. And I just can't believe they can't look into these new accounts and be like, all right, this account was created like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, none of them seem to want to talk about that Brazilian guy.
Well, did anyone else want to add anything about the Huffington Post before I let words go about this Brazilian guy?
I'm just going to add again, once again, kudos to Eric Kane and that Huffington Post guy, Remy, I think was his name. I'm not exactly sure.
I don't remember.
Fighting for those neutral grounds is a lot of things that some other people have no willingness to do. So on that alone, they have a semblance or a lot of respect from me.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. And Aaron Bell, if you're listening, just hit me up at Spells Fired, and you can be a temp caller for sure. But anyway, what did you wanted to talk about BRs and how you hate them, right? Words or something like that?
No.
Okay.
It's just that
Those fuckers that lag because their internet is as good as
yeah. These
Hey,
people that ruin online gaming.
you know what?
No BR.
Laggers.
Wait.
Yeah, Josh.
Hey, they're really good at moving fast. And
You're talking about the
Shazbots
I forget
and
what
stuff.
his name is, but he's a Brazilian reporter for a gaming website.
Every
based in
tag he
South
had
America.
every username he had Anita in it, if I remember correctly.
Well, let's have words explain what he's trying
Yeah.
to say.
Well, no, I don't want to presume like I'm an authority on it. I just everything
You're
I
an
know of
authority.
it. Okay, I'm an authority. Listen to me. Listen and believe.
I'm believing.
No, I can't remember his name. I really all my knowledge of him is based on like a couple of 8chan threads and then what I see on Twitter. But it's this guy made a bunch of accounts all like harassing Anita, and a lot of Gamergate people were quick to try to report this guy and figure out who he was, and they did, and they've been trying to report this guy and to like local authorities because like what he's doing is like flat out illegal in Brazil, and nobody wants to. It's kind of frustrating how nobody wants to seem to cover that.
That being illegal is news to me. Can you elaborate on that? Maybe explain it for people who are oblivious like me?
Yeah, I'm curious how that's illegal as well, because I know a lot of people all around the world do this specifically for politically incorrect message boards. They create shitloads of accounts.
Yeah, I don't really know the
And
specifics.
I've never
of it.
really heard of it being illegal anywhere or any type of precedent.
It's specifically the explicit like linking to and like outing of people's personal information and harassing them is a much bigger deal in the law and court system in.
Oh, I'm sorry,
in
I
Brazil, as far as
misinterpreted you. I misinterpreted.
No, in Brazil,
Okay.
not
Sorry,
here. Yeah, I don't know the law specifically. It's just something I saw a lot of people talking about, and my bad for bringing it up without fully understanding.
No, I thought you meant the ability to kind of parallel yourself with another identity online when you were in fact talking about using those identities to harass.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
totally misinterpreted you.
That's
Sorry.
fine.
Continue.
No, that's it really. And if anybody else knows
Oh,
anything else about the guy,
The general idea is just an info picture floating around, and basically that a lot of these accounts that were made that, they'll tweet Gamergate and they'll, tweet at Anita saying, fuck you, you live here, I'm gonna rape your cunt, or whatever the fuck, kill you with a garden hoe, I don't fucking know. They say all this random shit, and people were somehow tracking the IP, and that the IP was consistent for all three of these offenders, and that the IP is also linked to this other guy's actual Facebook account, which is the Spanish journalist.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a pretty big fail. I think 101 is you use a proxy.
Yeah. 101 is be a woman, and then you get a Patreon check for it, and you're good to go. I'm kidding. Or not really, but anyway. It's a deal with the Brazilian journalist, as far as I know. As for whether or not it's going to get reported on, I mean, like I said before, it's taken how many months just for the traditional press to pick up on Gamergate in general, and they're just now getting their teeth wet on it.
So by that, it's going to take about a week for Twitter to actually do something about the guy, right?
Well, I'm sure Twitter will ban the account, but if you're looking for actual arrests to be made in another country...
Oh, no, I'm saying
for a while.
Maybe just, I don't know, a permaban or a quick-to-respond sort of ban for this kind of person. I mean, he's literally doing nothing but provoke trolling. It's the equivalency of, if I may make kind of an analogy, I don't know if it's entirely accurate, but I think it might be equivalent to say the paparazzi. What the paparazzi do when they're following someone around the camera and trying to be like, celebrity, you got anything to say? You got anything to say about this? Celebrity, come on, say something, celebrity. I'm going to say all these horrible things to you. Celebrity, say something. Give me a response.
Oh, I'd like to add one of the guy's accounts has been suspended.
One out of, I think 4 or 5 or something.
I don't know any of the other ones, but the big one, the Anita of Jesus that everybody was getting upset about, is gone. So there's that.
Good.
The child porn one?
The Anita Virgin one is gone too, as well.
Mm.
Okay. I hadn't seen too many of those, but that's good they're gone, because it's just clogging up the feeds with all kinds of nonsense, and people take that as being the main point of this entire thing, and it gets frustrating sometimes, honestly, but just kind of dismiss yourself from being stuck in the middle of it some, and take a breather, go play some games, do something, and you can continue on pretty good, I say.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, our side has been pretty good about kind of pulling these people off stage. I mean, I know someone like at Remy Punks makes a, dedicated effort to find these people who make these allegations and make these threats and report them and, see Twitter justice for whatever it's worth be delivered. So, I mean, it's not like we're not encouraging it, right? Agree with this? Also, welcome temporary caller Aaron.
Hey, Aaron.
How do you do?
Doing great. Thank you for joining the show.
I think we're all so unfamiliar with niceties towards each other that we're just sort of silent from the nice greeting as usual.
It's all right. So would you want to chip in, Aaron?
Okay, I wanted to chip in, first of all, that I'm very much an open carry, if you will, Gamergator, which means that I have been espousing the glory and truth that is Gamergate very openly on things such as my personal Facebook and in a very direct engagement sort of manner, especially at things such as my local college and a place of work, things along those lines. And one of the things, as I was participating in those discussions with people who have only seen these external media introductions to what Gamergate is that they tend to be highly aggressive, and also they tend to be highly prejudiced immediately towards what Gamergate actually stands for. And I find myself in a defensive posture very, very frequently, which I find to be amazingly frustrating, seeing as the only honest truth is that the only thing that we need to defend ourselves against is the fact that we are being associated with threatening tweets, with threatening emails, with things along those lines. And so when you're able to distance yourself from that, the conversation, as I've found it, tends to transition into more of a, okay, well then, what do you actually stand for? What do you actually care about? Because it sounds like you're all about woman hating. And then the obvious counter to that is simply to say that the people that I'm stating are not particularly evil, but rather corrupt, are the exact same people saying those things about me. So, in my honest opinion, both unsubstantiated claims should cancel one another. And that leaves you merely looking at the evidence of what Gamergaters tagging themselves as Gamergaters and Gamergate activity have actually done inside of the Twitter sphere and also inside of the communication sphere in terms of emails and advertising and other fiscal relations. And what I found to be the most powerful thing in our own advocacy is pointing out all of the times that Gamergate has very actively been the first ones to the line of battle in terms of reporting harassers, in terms of turning over people who are doing illegal activity, and in terms of attempting to silence and disassociate ourselves from those who would take our movement and attempt to do evil things with it. And when confronted with that solid evidence, I have not found a single person who is able to continue with their own personal narrative that Gamergate is evil, because we have very substantial evidence leading to the fact that we are fighting for good.
And you're able to present this, Evan. I have a couple of questions, actually, for you. Did you have any more you wanted to say, Aaron?
No. Those are the primary things that I wanted to say.
Okay. Can I run some questions by you then?
Of course.
All right. Well, first off, thank you for joining, by the way. And so this aggressiveness, maybe a little bit too much, but kind of like a social, awkwardness, aggression type of deal. Is this online only, or are you getting this in when you go to your college and speak to people too? And how many people at the college are aware of it?
Okay, so if we're talking about exact facts in terms of who I've encountered as opposition or as neutral parties to this, I could say that a solid 99% of people who I would even speak to who have any interest in video games have no idea what Gamergate is. And that's a sad fact, and also it's a positive fact at the same point, because that means that 99% of the total population of people who play games, even very passively, even very minorly, aren't aware of this media brainwashing against our movement or consumer revolt, however you want to refer to it. And that leaves a lot of opportunity to actually be the first person to present evidence and to not wind up with these horrible misconceptions. Now, on to your question, which was actually the people who are against us, who I have actually encountered in person. 2 of them were through me, and then 1 of them was through my girlfriend. 2 of them, my girlfriend is also an avid Gamergater, by the way.
Sweet. Nice catch. Keep going.
Anyways, so the 2 people who I've encountered in person who were anti-Gamergate were, one of them was actually a person who has been
vocal.
Well, an avid Kotaku.
Brianna Wu.
Oh
for some
God.
time.
It was It was an ad. Say this again. I'm sorry. I was shit.
Listen, I'm not gonna start
That's fine.
slinging names around or
Okay, that's fine.
associations.
That's fine.
What I am going to say is that they often share Kotaku things on Facebook. They often reference the opinions of Kotaku writers. So I can tell, just from a starting point, that that's where they were getting most of their opinions from, because Kotaku is, unfortunately, right now, a very prolific media source for gamers.
It sounds to me a little bit like not necessarily so much as they were, loyal Kotakuists, so much as maybe they didn't, weren't familiar with other media outlets, right?
Well, unfortunately, they spoke to me about how angry they were at Total Biscuit for "quote unquote" turning against the greater morals. And that's not exact wording, so I don't know why I said "quote unquote," but that's sort of the sense. It was kind of a, how dare these people come out and start having these opinions, and I no longer watch JonTron videos, and this and that.
The original Twitlonger.
Yeah, absolutely.
The one that was people got banned on Reddit for.
These are all things that when they initially came out, on the first wave of communication that Gamergate might be a negative thing, he had already absorbed all of this information and decided for himself that Gamergate was going to be evil, and then he used those shit-colored lenses to view the rest of the communication concerning Gamergate. So it was very, very frustrating, actually, speaking to him, because it seemed that every single thing I had to say, he was getting out his smartphone and looking for his own infographics and his own referential documentation leading back to various gaming websites that I was evil and that I was spewing lies and that I was only there to attempt to turn him actively against female gamers.
Oh boy.
So how did this end up?
That actually ended, that's the one that I was referencing. I said, well, we're saying that media is corrupt. And he's saying, well, what media is corrupt? And I say, that media, and point to the exact media that is referring to us as evil. And he says, well, they say that they're not corrupt and that you're just trying to harm women. And I say, well, both are baseless accusations. And he said, well, you're going to have to explain that one to me, because I've got all of this evidence, which, of course, is self-referential, so it collapses in upon itself. But we wound up as the argument progressed, realizing that our arguments about that sort of thing canceled one another out. Because there's really, as we saw in the stalemate that was the Gamergate communication up until the harassment threats came out against Brianna Wu, there was no progress in terms of communication with one side to the other. There were a couple of neutral parties that would wish or wash one other way, but there actually was no solid progress. After I was able to establish that sort of that stalemate again, the only thing that was left was, as I said, evidence of recent, very visible actions. And that actually left him thinking instead of listening and believing. So I don't want to say that I won. I don't want to say that I won, because I have no guarantee that he's going to change his opinions whatsoever. What I can say is that after the recent evidence concerning our efforts, he at least thought.
He didn't just listen and believe. He thought. Well, he may have listened and believed to us.
That's and I think...
At that point, isn't that a victory?
Yeah,
so.
That's a victory.
So.
I mean, if it didn't end in a fist fight or a school having a bomb threat called, I think you won.
I don't think it's I don't think it's even necessarily that people in this whole situation want overnight. I don't think, at least from my perspective, I may have a problem with gamer position, but I don't think they need to change their opinion to match mine. I think it's very much like you just said. A lot of us just say, you're only taking information from one place. Haven't you ever thought or queried the possibility of that not being the case, that maybe the one place isn't giving you all the information you should get?
Yeah, I think you did good, man. I mean, when I look at it from an outsider, it's like, well, he probably wasn't expecting to talk to you about it, or I don't know what the relationship between you two were. I don't know if it's kind of like just a conversation that was just brought up. I mean, I imagine something like this might not be the first thing on his mind, A, to begin with, and B, this sounds like something you'd have to mull over. So
yeah,
I mean, you're not gonna go up there and touch his forehead and he's gonna be like struck by the spirit and like fall down. Be like, oh, Kotaku, I see my ways.
Especially not when reading Kotaku.
Really, only Sargon of Akkad seems to be able to do that. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Good content over there. Really good content.
Yeah,
No.
Sargon's doing
But
work.
actually, to flesh out the circumstance that started that conversation, I was simply telling the recent happenings in terms of advertising. A lab group over and decided that they would start making comments.
All right, you were mentioning you're talking about advertisers and how they weren't going to make comments. I kind of lagged out a bit there.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so I was talking to another one of my lab partners during a physics lab, explaining what was going on to him, because he was just kind of getting the recent happenings updates from me, because he only kind of tangentially cares. And then suddenly, a person who is in another group decided that they would interject themselves into the conversation, and thus the debate was formed.
Oh boy! So this was there was like podiums involved and like a narrator or a mediator.
Well, when he wheeled in his chair, he wheeled to preach.
Whoa! Oh! We're talking wheelchairs now. All right, that's serious.
No. I'm talking spinny chairs.
Oh yeah, not like wheelchairs.
I thought you were saying like this guy was disabled or something.
No, it was Hot Wheels. No, that's really interesting though, because I've heard. Yeah, he's bizarre. He's evil wheels, or he's cold.
He's love wheels. I hate wheels.
He's cold wheels or something. But no, that's really interesting because I've heard everyone's trying to make a movement online and trying to email, but you're the first person I've ever come across that has told me a story about trying to talk to people in the real world. And
I can't even believe you just said that, Shill, because I was just thinking the same exact thing. I was like, this is quite intriguing because it's a face-to-face physical interaction discussing this. I haven't really heard too many of those, except for the HuffPo pieces, which aren't even really face-to-face.
Yeah.
Well, it was a very, very different sort of arena to be conversating. Jesus.
That's a crazy. I'm really sorry.
I fucking hate that word.
It was a very different sort of arena to be conversing in, simply because the person that I was speaking to couldn't just, hit a block button and suddenly I shut up. They had to let me finish a phrase, and whenever they would interrupt me in the middle of a statement, I would just kind of widen my eyes a little bit, stare at them, and wait for them to finish talking before I continued exactly where I left off.
Jeez.
And so these interruption and tangential distraction tactics just fell apart in a very direct communication. I feel that the more direct a communication gets, the less slander tactics are possible just in general.
So in other words, if they had to actually say, go to somewhere in real life and speak on this, you think probably the moment someone in the audience spoke out against them, and other people did, that would probably just cause it to all fall apart for them, right?
Well, a lot of arguments tend to fall apart when the veil of the internet is taken away, and that can either be to our advantage or it can be against the cause. And this is because
right?
we stand in front. I stand in front of the other person. I state exactly what I mean, and the other person then can't tangentially just call me a virgin loser who doesn't know anything about women. Because anybody who might be listening into the conversation just hears ad hominem attacks and they actively discredit themselves.
Yeah. I've experienced that in some of my discussions as well, with people trying to attack. This is kind of tangential, but with people trying to attach certain things that they associate with the movement to me and what I'm doing, and it's just like, well, have you witnessed me engaging in that activity that you say is apparently happening? And it's always just like, well, no. And it's just like, well, that's because it's not really happening, and because I don't support those behaviors. I'm just saying what I believe.
Yeah,
and
it's very easy to hate an enemy you can't see.
Yeah.
That's something
Absolutely.
that's something I was always curious about within the movement. I mean, I was here originally for Women Against Feminism before Gamergate originally came up. And that was the first thing I noticed, and I do speak on this in some of my other videos and stuff, is that why was it that when we disagreed with something, it was instantly the silencing tactic to say we hated women or we didn't care about what women went through. And I've always wondered, I'm like, well, where's the premise of that even come from to begin with? I've never typed that down, I've never said it. So why is simply disagreeing with something in a respectful manner considered that? And it's just one of those strange things that kind of bugs you in the inside a little bit, because you're just, and that's like what Aaron was bringing up. When you're in person, you can't throw these little placid attacks out and try to call people this or that. You have to address the point, and that's a really good thing.
I think another part of the debate that doesn't occur unless people are on camera is body language. And in communication, especially if you take a public speaking class, one of the things that they stress to you endlessly is proper body communication, proper body language, and proper communication with posture, facial expression, things along those lines. When you're speaking to somebody in text, there's a lot that they can infer incorrectly from the way that you worded something. Is the particular phrasing that you use to be wildly more important than what you're actually saying, which winds up degrading your statement. But in person, you can use things along the lines of body language to communicate concepts to other people, and especially intonations, such as when I spoke to that person about the doxings, about the harassment. My body language was able to communicate that I was actually really, really depressed about it, simply because I didn't feel that it helped our consumer movement. I didn't feel that it helped their opposition to the consumer movement, but rather there must be some source outside of our own communication that was causing all of this harassment, simply because it doesn't do anybody any good at all. And being legitimately remorseful concerning the fact that it's come to that is almost impossible to communicate over text without seeming like a douchebag. But having your eyebrows angled correctly and having the corners of your mouth turned down when you're talking about real-world threats that are occurring against people does way more to communicate the fact that you actually don't want that to be happening.
Yeah,
it's so easy to lie over text, but it's so easy to see through things like that in person.
Yeah, it's
absolutely.
The humans have been, interacting and socializing for, a long ass time now. But no, I wanted to thank you for coming on and sharing that bit with us. Me and Scanner are joking about it. We're like, man, we're both thinking the same thing about we've never met someone who's tried to interact with people in person who, or at least was fortunate enough to come across it and now something horrible happened. So, did you want to stick around or?
No, I'll stick around in the chat, but thank you very much for having me on, and thank you for letting me have a platform to share my experiences in this ongoing debate.
Oh, no problem. That's what the site is about that we're making, is giving every gamer a voice. So if you want to write an article or do whatever, do YouTube videos, you're more than welcome to come host on our site when it goes live. But no, thanks again, and hopefully I'll be seeing Gamergate like bumper stickers from you or something.
Great way to make some money. Go for it, man.
Thank you so much, Cole, and thank you again, Spells Fired.
No problem. Thank you.
Goodbye.
And that there is just one example of what you can expect out of spellsfire.com.
Yeah.
Speaking from a person who has nothing to do with the website, and if anything, at his competition.
What a pleasant person.
Yeah.
That was a revelation, man.
I may have mastered
That voice is. I'm probably gonna. I might get a little lambasted for this, but that voice reminded me of a
Jesus
priest that would speak at my church when I was around 14 or 15.
Not the ones that like touched you, right?
No.
Very
much the open kind of guy who is like, God's not going to have you burning.
Yeah, he's very down to earth. I want to get him and Johnny Pinball on a stream and just, I don't know, just listen and believe.
Who has the most.
Man, your mic is shitting all over you, birds.
Damn it.
Yeah, it's like cutting out completely.
Yeah, I noticed that. I don't know why that's happening. So go on.
All right, we'll fix it. But anyway, thank you again to Aaron for coming on. Once again, if you want to be a caller and you just want to hop in and say your piece or whatever, you can follow me at Spells Fired. Just shoot me a follow, and I'll get you set up so you can come in here. But let's go ahead and move into our next section. What do you guys think about the... Oh boy, the email that was leaked by the Ralph Retort recently? I'm going to have to look this up. So
you're going to have to tell me what you're referring to. I'm not sure which you're referring to.
I'm gonna get looking on that really pretty much now, but I will talk about the New York Times and my personal distaste with all of this, and with my point of view about the media coverage. With stuff like the Huffington Post, I'm glad that they gave both sides a chance to argue, because a lot of the other sites, particularly the ones that wrote articles, simply did not. They ran with the narrative that was spoon-fed to them and said, all right, well, that's our fucking story, and I'm going to go get my paycheck now and get anything else.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, Ralph wrote an article about it, but in particular, I enjoyed the New York Times piece because the only sources mentioned during the whole thing was a post from Adam Baldwin and a article about Laura Croft. And it went on to talk about misogyny and bomb threats and all these other wild claims that you would hope there would be like some first or secondary source as to, proof that these things happen. I don't deny the bomb threat and shit happened. More denying that Gamergate is involved for obvious reasons of facts. But the article I wanted to bring up was the Ralph Retort, the Gawker Media refuses to denounce their advocacy at bullying. And what was that other one he did? I'm trying to look for it.
He somehow leaked a Guardian email.
Yeah. You want to talk about it, Words?
Yeah, the Guardian email, I haven't read it personally, but allegedly it alludes to them having already made up their mind about the Gamergate piece before they published it or before they started investigating it. And this is for the recent one.
I just dropped it in the chat for anybody who needs to read it.
Redirecting.
Okay.
I'll take a quick look. So this is about the recent, kind of dust up about Gamergate.
Yeah,
With Brianna Wu.
I saw some comments about that, but I hadn't been familiar with that just yet.
So what do you think? Lee Alexander. He says Lee, but I think we can all acknowledge that it's probably the megaphone herself.
The megaphone Chan.
Weighing in at 210 pounds, heavyweight continental champion of the world. Fucking Lee Alexander.
Now be careful, you might get accused of fat shaming there just by mentioning her weight alone. If it actually is her weight.
That's her weight in gold or something, I don't know.
Her weight in megaphones.
That's her weight in megaphones. No, she's
That's very rude. No, I don't normally say those types of things.
no. But what do you think? Let's assume that it is Lee Alexander. Actually, it says Lee Alexander in the subject line, so I'm just gonna go and say this is 100% factual. So, what is Lee gonna go and tell to the Guardian?
I imagine she's gonna tell them a lot about Intel pulling their advertisement and try to escalate that issue because they were all really upset about that.
Yeah, I saw that too.
It's very odd considering this is a good couple of weeks old that this has been going on for as long as it is. If the Guardian writes anything after this point, if they attempt to write anything further on Gamergate, this email leak at least gives us credibility in denouncing the legitimacy or the lack of slant that anybody might imply that they would have, right?
I could say that, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I don't mean to speak about it from a this gives us ammo attitude, but I mean, fucking evidence is what's that phrase? Evidence is the something.
I don't know.
That's exactly it right there.
Yeah,
something is. That's straight from the book right there.
Just a little further, I'd like to echo something that I heard Milo say in another stream. The Guardian has very not to belittle Gamergate at all, but the Guardian has very little stake in this. It's not an issue to them. So it's if they're going to run a piece, it's more expedient for them to just take the information that they can from a supposed reliable source, in that being Leigh Alexander, who, despite everyone's musings for the last couple months, is a respected individual in journalism.
Yeah, I could find that Guardian's subtext about it will be, and one of the things that I pointed on earlier is more of the subtle women's issues angle. That's the Guardian and most of Gawker Media's websites and relations is the women's issue thing. So that's why they keep pushing it is attack on women, women.
Because that's where the story is.
Right.
All these attacks on women, I'm surprised that there's not some fandom raving about it and saying that it's the best thing ever and, some stupid shit like that.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, there is.
And
finish your point up.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
I think you were speaking the general.
Yeah, speak.
Before Bird
keep
rudely
going,
interrupted you. I'm kidding. You there, Mike, or no?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I didn't realize me.
Yeah, I'm calling you like 3 different names.
Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt my crappy joke.
Oh, it's all good. Like they'll push that angle out there, and it just, I guess that's where they get their clickbait from, is the feminism range of things, and that's why they try to involve Anita and Zoe in the Gamergate thing so much. And while it was a catalyst for what's going on now, it's really was just the lighter to the gas. It really wasn't the prime concern, and I mean that's been proven throughout the Gamergate tag itself. But their stake in it is continuously making it a women's issue when it's a people's issue. Women aren't the only ones that have been attacked in this and doxxed and had threats sent to them, but that's their objective, is to try to make it about that topic and then rally the other troops in to discuss it as an attack on women, to shut down everyone else's viewpoints. And more and more, I just see day by day over the course of the last 2 or 3 years that I've been observing this, it's not working nearly as much as it used to work as far as shutting down people's viewpoints goes.
Do you think it's effective?
At some point it was. It seems that the effect is getting to be a little less now that they keep poking at little mundane topics and everything. Like, the effect is there, but not as much as it used to be. A lot of people are calling them out on it in the journalism realm, and I'm happy to see that, because there's no need for it to be an echo chamber if we all want to sit down and discuss. And obviously, if we're saying that it's not about that, they shouldn't keep pressing it as that being the issue, or then saying that we're ignoring it when it never was the premise to begin with.
Yeah, definitely. And someone was mentioning this, and I do want to bring it up that this was dated at September 23rd. So this is somewhere. This is between the Gamers Are Dead articles coming out and the Intel pulling their ads. Correct?
It probably would be more accurate to say this is between Game and the Intel ad pull.
Yeah, definitely. And if people were upset about that, and I mean, it's a company. They have the right to do what they want, and they shouldn't really be shamed into silence or shamed into picking a viewpoint. Because I know they reposted defending themselves about that, because a lot of people were saying they were pandering to sexists, basically, when they did that. And I just felt that was unfair for them to label Intel in that way.
Oh, I mean, it was unfair, unprofessional. Is pretty much the most piss poor move you could ever make. I mean,
it's kind of proof that they didn't have a real legitimate argument for why they did this, and it's kind of like one of those quotes. If a person's making a mistake, let them keep making the mistake. Just let them go ahead and do it. And I just kind of watched and observed, and of course I love Intel, everything, Intel inside all the time, but it's one of those situations where people got together, people spoke out on what was going on, we were honest about it, we had evidence and truth, and Intel listened and saw that themselves, and they said, we're going to pull the ads and the revenue and the sponsoring from them, and then people basically attacked them, saying that they were wrong for that. And I don't see that being lined up. But then on top of that, they tried to capitalize on it by saying that they hated women. And it wasn't too effective this time from what I saw, honestly.
yeah, if you're pissing off your viewers and you're losing advertisers, you go ahead and say it's the wrong horse to beat up. But, hey, I don't even know. I mean, maybe that's what Lee was kind of talking about. Maybe she was getting flack already from her bosses or from the advertisers directly. And she's like, look, don't even fucking touch this Gamergate shit because you're going to get shat on. But, I mean, it's definite proof of collusion. I mean, The Guardian is bending. The Guardian's a British newspaper, isn't it? Or am I going crazy?
Correct, I believe.
Pretty sure it is. So
It almost makes me wonder if that email is not so much saying, don't talk about this. You need to hear what Lay has to say so much about it in terms of getting them to listen to her, so much as stop. You don't know what you're doing. Lay's going through this same bullshit, and you need to get her input first concerning the bad things that are happening to her being involved in Gamergate, unless you need to hear her narrative. So I think that's a possibility people should consider as well.
And I'd like to say something somebody pointed out in the chat is that email is actually from September, so it places the context of this a little shaky. Like right, it would be like right after the Intel pull, I think.
it's before the Intel ads were pulled in.
Is it before?
Right
Okay.
after. It's after the Gamers Are Dead articles and before the Intel pulled their ads, I
Okay.
believe.
Oh, you already said that. My bad.
Yeah, I said it and then Bird said it. No, it's fine. It's fine. I wonder if Milo would be interested in this because I mean, the Guardian's a direct competitor, aren't they? To Breitbart.
God, wouldn't it be hilarious if that ended up being to his benefit?
Yeah. From my understanding, Milo is taking a break from this mess. I don't think he's talking about it very much.
He doesn't play games like us. He doesn't have to the extent we do. So he probably has to find something else to sort of get that break.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think he may have gotten some shit from inside his office because when he did post the original G-Game Journos list and their conversation upload, he included phone numbers accidentally.
Mm-hmm.
It was a big mistake on his part. In his defense, I believe he fixed it. But at the same time, he got canceled on that Brianna Wu story, so he's probably pretty burned out.
Yeah.
And he might have got slapped on the wrist within his job. I'm not too sure.
I hope not.
Hopefully he comes back to doing Gamergate shit, though.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah. But I mean, even then, just between this, the email that Ralph's putting up, and the Game Journo's pro list, it's pretty obvious fucking collusion that's happening. And, there still isn't proof of corruption in journalism. I just don't get it.
What you got? So we had discussed the Huffington Post stuff briefly, and I also brought up I think it was the MSNBC thing. Do we want to maybe talk about Wu herself to some degree?
Sure.
I suppose. I don't know a great deal about her though.
Yeah, neither me. I hadn't been paying attention to those people too much. It just been.
Is it paying attention before or after as well? Because since then, I've been paying very close attention to what she has to say.
Yeah.
Well, I guess for my own part, I've gotten to the point where the whole the harassment claims and so on have been debunked so many times that it's just kind of I don't really care at this point. So I just kind of phase it out, and I'm trying to focus on the issues so much, which is maybe doesn't make me the best person to speak in this particular call, but I don't know. I don't know a great deal about Brianna Wu other than the initial happenings.
Yeah. Eventually, you just get desensitized to it from it happening so much, and that was another thing too that I wanted to touch on was that we point out that this hacking and doxing or people being hacked is wrong, and people still continue to say that we condone it. And that was a main point in my video, was the difference between movements, depending on if you get in that discussion or not, where we shouldn't have to be on the defensive since we have our goals and we have our point that we want to make already. We're already understood that we're not condoning those actions. We've more than proven that. So we shouldn't have to defend ourselves against people continuously that want to claim that we're accepting this, because while we can't help who may use the Gamergate hashtag, like I said, anybody could grab a hashtag and use it. I'm not the hashtag police. I can't stop people from using it.
Maybe we do need the hashtag police.
Little uniforms and everything.
Well, that's another point
Something.
in and of itself. Gamergate has been, or at least people within it, have been extremely active in self-monitoring and policing of this type of stuff, and it's still not good enough.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point. I mean, I've seen a lot of that throughout my time lurking and being active.
I've got some food for thought on that, and this is I thought, how when it comes to Gamergate and they're talking their evidence, we always go back to our proof that we've had to confirm things like collusion and, the fake situation. Like a certain Twitter handle which was claiming to be a legitimate, in real life feminist, but was later debunked as being some, account that put together to troll and quote pirate and claim.
Your mic's breaking up way too much to even hear what the hell you're talking about. I will say that the ISIS Twitter bot is probably my favorite.
It's pretty hilarious.
Like talking about Samsung Galaxies and Gamergate, and it's sweet.
Am I coming through any clearer now?
For the moment.
There you were.
Okay, so maybe I just need to speak louder instead of talking at a lower level. I was referring to the whole thing of how Leo Pirate was attacked by a basically sock puppet account that was supporting anti-Gamergate, and it made me think. We come back with this evidence and this proof of all this shit that's going on. Well, what does the opposition go back to? They always go back to the same lie. That's why it's going to be, we're not going to see Gamergate supports harassment. Gamergate is misogynist. Gamergate is a hate movement. It's not going to end because it's all they have to go back to. And if they give up, if they don't stick to what they're going with, then that will ultimately be their downfall. It's why you don't see the literally who's backpedaling on their statements so much as others have. It's why you don't see them thanking people for, attempting to prevent their doxing that had happened overnight. It's why you don't see them acknowledging kind of being single-handedly responsible for starting the gamer fruit hashtag,
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
it's
game
it's
shit is
one of the only things keeping them relevant in this discussion.
They have to cling to their lies and their falsehoods because I don't think they have much else to do at this point.
Yeah. Well, lies and falsehood. I mean, got them this far, right?
Pretty much.
Well, I don't even know if they've gotten far, if they're falling apart.
Well, this is why the attitude of needing to find the person holding the smoking gun has been more imperative than ever when it comes to Gamergate. It's not just the smoking gun that we need. It's the person who fired the gun. We need it, actually, if anything, while it's still loaded, bring anything down, so to speak.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, they've been playing these cards for so long, As much as I would love for it to just be a Scooby-Doo moment of, I fucking lift up the mask and it's fucking Dwight Howard or whoever the fuck, and he's the fucking villain. I don't think that's necessarily reality. What do you think about all this, Scanner?
I don't know. I just, like I said, I think it's a vocal minority, and yeah, you see it in the news now. But I personally just see it as entertainment. Like I fucking watch that shit and I laugh at it. It's ironic almost. I don't really know how to explain it. And pardon me on that, but I just find it ironic, I guess.
All right. Well, I'm thinking about wrapping this up because there's a lot of other streams going on, and our streams usually do better when they're a little bit shorter.
Mm-hmm.
So, did anyone else want to say anything?
I can't really think of anything off the top of my head other than just, I guess like some people are saying, don't take any of this too seriously. Even if you get upset or depressed like some of us have, just don't let that be all you're thinking about. Don't let it get to the point where you're saying things like, is this worth my time anymore? Because that's what they want. They want to wear us out. They want us to give up and stop. Because that's the only way they're going to win, is if we just absolutely and completely roll over.
Yeah, it's been pretty consistent. I'm actually impressed because I always give 3 to 3.5 weeks time for any hashtag, any movement to last, and just watching the consistency of this from the analytics, I'm just like, not bad. I wish I could pop that meme face up there like that.
Aaron made a really good comment, and I was kind of sort of preaching this sort of Gandhi hippie dippy kind of stuff a couple of months ago. The whole for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. This is a general point as a whole. Anytime we've seen anti-Gamergate do something really kind of nasty or despicable or just outright horrible, we almost always see it come back to bite them in the ass. So I guess that's the attitude to have with this, just as anything else. If you see a situation where it looks like the opposition has, gotten a win in, or a blow of victory, so to speak, to us, know that either A, it's not going to last for long, or B, we're going to come back with something just as equal in its force.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of things that I've just been watching in these hashtag movements, and while they're not directly related, they're synonymous. People, the same way they're trying to shut down Gamergate was the exact same way they tried to shut down the Women Against Feminism hashtag, and the methods are the same. The mass flagging attacks, the slander, the saying we're stupid or misogynist or don't know what we're talking about, self-hate, yada yada, the typical junk you hear online. And watching it, every time it backfired. All those things that they threw at the group ended up backfiring on them and making them look bad, and rightfully so, because
what if people just refrained from responding to it, like just completely fucking ignored it?
That's what I said to do.
Yeah.
on my last Accord was just ignore most of the vitriol. If as soon as approach the discussion, because we want to have a discussion. Try to talk with them. If they try to bait, if they try to call you misogynist or
And that's really all it is. It's bait. It's just
in,
bait, dude.
in the conversation right there,
Great
just,
bait.
It's just bait. That's all it
I'm
is.
sorry, I can't talk to you. You're trying to be upset, or you're trying to trick me into arguing with you and getting upset, and I'm not going to engage or waste my time. You're taking me away from what I need to be focused on, which is eliminating this corruption, making journalism good for everybody, including the women developers, and giving those that actually deserve a fair chance, a chance to speak, and not the people that have attempted to bait us or use us as
Absolutely.
tools to promote themselves.
Hmm.
Yeah, I've taken a concerted effort to not get drawn to that stuff, and while most of my discussions about Gamergate have been with friends on Skype, anyways, there was this time here recently where somebody tried to drag me into a conversation about feminism in regards to Gamergate on Twitter, and I flat out told them that this is a petty discussion and I won't be a part of it. And the guy got really like self-conscious for a second. He was like, "Oh, I'm really sorry to bother you."
Damn.
I have noticed that when you say something along the lines of, I'm not going to discuss with you when you're going to be this emotional, two things are going to happen. Either one, they're going to let it go and kind of, right, I shouldn't, they'll either, they'll end
God, your mic fucking sucks.
Okay, so I guess I just need to talk as loud as I can.
Just say goodbye.
Yeah, bye, I guess.
Nah.
When it comes to this kind of situation, it's very much that you have to make it clear beforehand, if you're going to bring this much emotion and over hostility into the conversation, I'm just not going to have it with you. We've had to deal with it for months now. We're tired of doing that. If you want to talk to me about anything concerning Gamergate, you need to be on an equivalent emotional ground with me and not be this overly hostile and presumptuous.
Sure.
Right.
All right, well, we're going to close it out with our closing statements. Did you want to shill anything, Bird?
Good Gamers is always doing its thing. I'm always tweeting on the Twitters, with the Twitters or whatever you want to call them. I'm at BirdGang Caw on Twitter. I'm hoping to have a big old write-up concerning the updates being announced at the Final Fantasy XIV Fan Fest this weekend, so that's another plug. If you are a big fan of Final Fantasy XIV, follow me on my Twitter, because I'm going to be talking about that shit a lot more now, because I get tired of talking about Gamergate so much.
That's good. How about you, Mike?
Really, the thing I said before there basically count as, I guess, my closing statement. Let's just continue doing what we're doing, expose all the corruption that we can, and, move forward. And, of course, play games. I play Battlefield every night, and I'm a PC gamer, so that's what I do. I'm on PC all the time for Battlefield, and I love playing it. Keep calm and collected, and kind of avoid all the people going crazy around us. And it's already dying off, so I'd say we're good to go.
All right, and words? You got anything?
Yeah, like I said before, I'm Words. You can find me on Twitter at Wordsmith. That's WRDSMTH. And I work on. I'm writing a visual novel right now. I haven't gotten a lot of work done in the last week, but that's because being a student is kind of not great for the development process. But anyways, just one final thing I'd like to say. One of my friends is begging me to say that he doesn't like The Verge very much because of their articles, and he used to be an avid reader of theirs and Ars Technica, and this has just kind of been really upsetting for him. So yeah, you're welcome.
Tell him that Spells Fired is ready to fill in the gap where his heart was.
Hopefully, I'm excited about Spells Fired.
Any of the places that are going around in that infograph that was going around for a while.
Yeah, some other site.
But yeah, just in general, thanks for letting me come on. I really appreciate you giving me the time. It's really cathartic every time I get a chance to talk with you. And just keep being awesome in the future.
No, it's always like having you on, man. So when I say I need if I want anyone to come on, that secretly means I'll take anybody. I mean, it doesn't matter how small your voice is. I'll give you a spot because I think we all have something to contribute.
Absolutely.
And Scanner, my cameraman.
Yeah, at Scanner Bro. I don't know. I don't really. I try not to talk much because I really do enjoy listening to everybody. I don't know. I'm excited for Spells Fired as well, and I hope everybody else is. I'm also excited for Bird's updates on Final Fantasy XIV over the next 2 weeks, right, Bird?
Yeah, that fucking fan fest, man.
I'm gonna shill for you right now because you actually have a pass to the stream. So at Bird Gang Ka, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna be on top of that, dude.
Scanner's already turned
Final
coded here.
Fantasy 14, baby.
Yeah, I will try and get it out there. I will see and look into the idea of potentially streaming that shit and playing with him.
I'll look into it too, maybe. But yeah, this is ShillPhish. I'm your host. I'm with SpellsFire.com, as is Scanner Bro. We're an upcoming community website that's giving a focus on video games, where we will feature you and your content on the front page, as long as it passes a small process. It doesn't matter if you want to host YouTube videos or streams, or if you want to talk about why a certain character in a video game is overpowered, or what the best equipment to use in Final Fantasy XIV is. As long as it's related to video games, you're allowed to come and make content about it, or you're allowed to mirror whatever content you're already making onto our site, and we're completely okay with that. So yeah, follow me at SpellsFired, and have a nice night. See ya.
See ya.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.